Is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of Saber Sims DFS office hours. It is Wednesday, June 21st of 2023 here. We already have a 7-game MLB slate underway. Good luck to all of you playing the early MLB slate here. Gotta love these early slates. Get the all-day sweat today with the main slate, 6-game main slate kicking off later. And then looking ahead to tomorrow, we have the Travelers Championship for PGA teeing off early first thing. All day sweat Wednesday, all day sweat Thursday. Should be a fun couple days of DFS here. But for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. It's a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS related questions. Questions can come in via support. You can reach us at support@sabersim.com. You can post questions live in the YouTube chat. You can also post questions ahead of time in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord, there is a link in the description below to get joined up. Highly recommend it. As always, get access to all the individual sport channels where a lot of the rest of the SaberSim team is around answering user questions. Users are talking strategy. We have a lot of sharp users in the community, so you can hear from them as well. And then you also get access to our sim alerts, shows you when lineups are released, when guys are scratched, see when new sims kick off for that news here. So always good to know what is running and can help you with your DFS process here. But with that being said, going to get the app pulled up here. We had one question in the office hours channel at the moment. It looks like it to be a follow-up on yesterday's demo here. So for those of you who didn't catch the show yesterday, I basically walked through an entire MLB process from start to finish here, talking about, different things I'm looking at, different things I'm doing, different things I'm considering. So if you guys are, looking for a walkthrough of an MLB process, I would check out yesterday's video. I thought it was really good here. So we just have this one question. So if anybody has any questions, now is a great time to get those in. But the follow-up was from Jim, and Jim said, can you walk us through how you made the rules you used today in the video? I tried, but did not get the options for home run like you showed. Okay, so yes, I could totally do that. So I used one rule in the demo yesterday, and it was this rule down here. Actually, I believe it was this rule. Let's check it out. Yes, it was this rule. So basically what the rule says is it is a rule type is group, selection method is automatic. And if it says if at least one player from a team is in your lineup and they have a home run, basically like home run expectation less than 0.1, less than like 10%, then use at least two players from the same team. So what this is doing is curating your one-off pool, right? You're saying, hey, I don't want to play guys who have a low chance of hitting a home run. If I'm going to play those type of guys, I'd rather play them in a team environment where they are getting on base, guys are hitting them in, other players are getting hits, RBIs, this player's getting runs. It's a more team scoring environment, right? As opposed to, playing a Pete Alonso one-off where Mets score 2 runs, they have 4 hits total, but he hit a 2-run home run and he got all his points that he needed, right? So that's kind of the gist of this rule. I will show you how to do it from scratch here. One disclaimer is that this rule is, if you can see these detailed stats, then you can make the rule. So you can see the detailed stats if you are on the SaberSim Pro plan here. So if you cannot see these detailed stats, like plate appearance, singles, doubles, triples, home runs, then you cannot write the rule. So you cannot write a rule for stats you cannot see. But it looks like Jim is on the Pro plan, so I'm going to show him how to do this from scratch here. So let me get this question out of the way to make sure that you got the whole view here. So rule type, you're going to go to group. Selection method, you are going to go to automatic. And then where it says use, you can change this to if. So then this is now going to become an if-then rule. So then what you're going to say is if at least one, you want to group by team because we're talking about this on a team stacking basis here. So group by goes to team. And then you're going to add a requirement. And then under this requirement, you should have these options here. And home run should be one of the options. So home runs less than, we'll go 0.1. and then use at least 2 on the same team. So if there's opposing team, same game, make sure that this is set to same team, which it is by default here. And then pitcher is unchecked by default as well. Save that rule, and now that rule is active, and you should be all set. So that is how you walk through the rule here. But good question, Jim. Thank you for the follow-up. See people continuing to tune in here. Hello, everybody. Running low on questions today. Since we don't have any more questions at the moment here, I was thinking about, yesterday I kind of talked about how to do an MLB process where you don't really have any takes on the slate. You don't really have any opinions about, who you want to play ahead of time. I was going to walk through a research build and just kind of tell you guys, what I'm looking for, how I'm evaluating a slate, and help you guys, figure out ways to kind of think about, teams or even pitchers that you might want to target here, right? So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to set my sliders to whatever I'm playing, right? And there's the conventional research build is a 0-9 build or a 0-10 build here. For these MLB Classic slates, I'm a big fan of 0-9. At 0-10 is truer to like sim optimals here, right? But in baseball, you're never going to need an optimal lineup to win your contest. You just need a winning lineup. That's why I'm okay with Sim Diversity 9, taking very small groups of sims here and showing you how players did over a small set of sims here. So I'm totally okay with 9 for MLB here. And then I'm going to set my pool size to as many lineups as I can build. And I'm going to actually turn min salary to 0. I don't want any restrictions here limiting, who is coming up in these builds here. So this is strictly for research. One thing that I did do in yesterday's demo was lower min salary to 45,000, but you don't have to do that. And even then, I'm not lowering it to 0 for the build that I'm actually taking with me into my contest here. So going to run 5,000 lineups here since I am on the pro plan, and show you guys what we are getting on the other side here. But just waiting for the lineups to finish loading. All right, looks like lineups are finishing up now. I am going to make my 2 adjustments to projections here so I can view my lineups. And then what I'm going to do is just change my number of lineups at the top to the number of lineups in my pool. So that'd be 5,000. And then I'm going to look at my pitchers first here. So I'm just going to go to pitcher category. And then the way that I like to do this is a couple different ways. I like to chop this up in different ways. So one is by ownership here. What does SaberSim think of the highest owned plays on the slate here? And some negative leverage to them, but overall, I think we like them, right? Luis Castillo, about 49% owned. We think that they should be in about 38% of these lineups, so still fairly high here. And then Ohtani in 38% ownership in 30% of our pool lineups here, even with Darvish, actually over on Garrett Whitlock here, and probably over on Michael Kopech here. So big takeaways for me are leverage on Kopech, leverage on Whitlock, slightly negative on Castillo and Ohtani, but I'm actually okay if the builder ends up liking them overall here. And another way I could look at this is by leverage, right? I could just sort by leverage and see who those highest leverage plays are. So same thing, Kopech and Whitlock here. And then Gavin Williams to a lesser extent. I could inversely sort by leverage here, right? So Castillo, Ohtani. I probably missed this Sonny Gray one here. I'm looking for guys like that kind of stand out a little bit. And to me, it's like plus or minus 5% is like usually fine, or when they're like half their ownership or double their ownership, something like that. So Sonny Gray might be another name that I make a note of here. But just trying to show you guys different ways you can look at this information. You can also sort by projection, right? Just see what you guys, what the builder thinks of the highest projected plays descending here. So not seeing anything different, but just showing you guys a couple different ways you could chop this up. So that is what I'm doing for pitchers here. And then for stack types, right? This is probably so this is like why I don't love a 0-9 build for stacks here. So you see, like, we're getting a ton of small stacks, right? 3 2s, 2 2 2s, 2 2, 3 2 2, some 4 2s, but a lot of, you know, 2 stacks here. And that is because we have turned correlation all the way down to 0 here. So this is why I'm kind of an advocate for like this modified correlation build, which I call it, looking at batters specifically here. So what I'll do is I'll look at the default sliders for the contest that I'm playing. So correlation is at 8. And then I'll just chop correlation in half, basically saying like, hey, I don't want correlation to have as big of an impact as it usually has, but I do want the builder to account for it a little bit here. That way, I still get some stacks. So I'm more of a proponent for this, you know, half correlation sim diversity 9 stack research build. I don't know how everybody on the team would feel about that here, but this is something that I've used regularly and something that I've come to like, just with getting some bigger stacks here, but not, you know, full-fledged correlation. So anyways, these lineups are finishing up now. We'll look at these once we get into the post build here. Feeling a little sick today, everybody, so sorry if I sound a little congested. All right, so same thing. Going to set number of lineups to my pool here. Going to make 2 adjustments to projections. And now we can view our lineups here. So I'm going to go over to my stacks. I actually want to go back to stack types. So now we're getting some bigger stacks here, right? A 4-2 is highest pool, getting some 5-2s up there. So still getting some small stacks, but that's expected, right? I just wanted to get some more of these big stacks. And with the modified correlation, only only what SaberSim perceives to be the best plays are gonna make it into these bigger stacks here, which is what I'm trying to flesh out, what I'm trying to look for, right? So I don't really look at the game stacks tab. I just pretty much go straight to team stacks after going to stack types. And then I work backwards here. So I work from 5 stacks backwards, looking at the teams that are coming up most often. Usually I will be comparing this to implied runs here, which also basically checking against ownership as well. So I'm just going to note some of these teams down here. So we have Angels at 5.1. We have, 5.3. Texas, 5.1. Dodgers, 4.8. White Sox, 4.8. Cleveland, 4.8. San Diego, 4.7. And I think that's fine. We'll make 4.5 the cutoff here. So I'm going to go back to my build. And then I'm going to go back to my 5 stacks tab. And just going to see, like, you know, are these the top teams? Where are the top teams falling here? So I'd say this is, like, kind of interesting. The White Sox are our highest owned 5 stack, and they're actually our tied for 4th highest implied run total, right? So the Angels are above them. Texas is above them. Dodgers are above them. And Cleveland is tied with them as far as implied runs, but they're showing up more often than all these teams. So I'm going to make like a little star next to the White Sox here. This is kind of more expected, right? Angels, Texas, the Dodgers are our top 3 implied runs. So Texas, Angels, Dodgers. This looks like really normal. Angels, Texas, San Diego. So San Diego, White Sox here kind of creeping up. These were like our lower teams here. So going to make a little note next to San Diego. As we get smaller here, I'm a little less inclined to put too much weight on these teams here. And then we get a lot of Oakland, Cleveland, San Diego at the top. But one thing I think that is important is like if you look at our implied teams here, right? So these 5 teams are the highest 5 run total teams, and then the next one is Oakland. So then if you were like, hey, Oakland is showing up, more than the Angels are showing up, right? 21% Oakland exposure, 19% Angels exposure. Wow, Oakland might be a really good play, but then you go and look at their 2 stacks, and 2/3 of that exposure is Oakland 2 stacks, right? So got to be careful. Want to see where the Angels are coming up overall. I think that even though the Angels are, pretty middle of the pack here, I think they're okay. I would look into their ownership, but I'm a little more interested in Chicago, San Diego, and then I want to see what the ownership for the Angels is as well here. But this is how I'm trying to get some ideas of where I might want to go on the slate. Going to put a filter here to remove some clutter. Ownership for the White Sox actually like kind of high here, right? I'd say like if I had to estimate, 15% stack ownership here. And then let's check out the Angels. Angels, it's close. I'd say like 10 to 15%. So actually not that much different considering their total. And then I wanted to see San Diego. So San Diego looks probably like our like leverage play here, right? Only one player above 10% ownership. Tatis probably used as a one-off a ton here. And the team ownership, I would say, stack ownership, probably closer to like 5% here. So actually not opposed to maybe taking a stand on some San Diego stacks, making sure I'm getting to them overall here. But that is how I'm trying to figure out, where I might want to play more of a team, where I might want to play less of a team. What do I think about some of these secondary stacks, etc. here? So I think that all things considered in our research build, we like San Diego, and we are pretty comfortable with a lot of the pitchers that we're seeing here. So then I'm just going to go into like a regular build here and then show you guys what I'm doing for this. Looks like Michael is here. Michael said, tuning in. What is up, Michael? If you guys have any questions, we're just walking through some builds here. Not a lot of questions. I see one in the Office Hours channel from the Shallow Cross, which we will get to, but once we finish this demo. But if anybody has any questions, now is a great time to get those in. All right. So we are running this build now that we have some ideas about the slate. Lineups are finishing up here. Getting into the post build. All right. Going to make our 2 adjustments here. And I'm gonna act like I'm building 150 lineups. Then, gonna check my stack types. A lot of small stacks, but it's okay. They're at a really low rate here. We see our 5.2s at 40%, 5.3s at 34%. So I think I'm okay with some random stacks in there. Gonna increase mini uniques to half. Gonna see how far down in my pool I am. 889, not bad. Still getting a lot of big stacks after applying min uniques. San Diego is actually our top exposed stack here. So basically, as a result of our Saber score here with our negative weight on average adjusted ownership, SaberSim is coming to the same conclusion that we were coming to in our research build, that, hey, San Diego is probably a good spot to get some extra exposure to today, try and take a stand on here, right? And then they still like the Angels. I think the Angels are fine overall as like a big stack here. I want to go through these tabs and see where these teams are coming up. So 8% Angels, 2 stacks. That's okay. We're still getting like 18%, 3 stacks or bigger here. So I honestly, I think this looks great. This is exactly what I wanted to see for my teams. I like San Diego. I think the Angels are completely fine. We actually have pretty low exposure to Chicago, I think, because their ownership ended up being a lot higher than expected here at like pushing 15% plus here. So we're at about 9%. Chicago, I think that's okay. But San Diego was really the team that we wanted to key in on here. And then I just want to check my batters. So no batter over 24%. Going to check my pitchers. And let's see who we're getting to. So we're getting to a lot of Garrett Whitlock, which we said we liked. About basically matching pool exposure on Castillo and Ohtani, which I actually like here, especially when these guys are negative leverage in our pool. Playing them at the rate that they are optimal, I think is totally fine. So what the builder is saying is like, hey, we know that these guys are chalky. We know that these guys are good. Let's just play them at their optimal rate and take stands elsewhere. And I think that's totally fine. So a lot of Whitlock exposure. Gavin Williams, probably just a salary relief play at 5,700. We did have some slight positive leverage to him in our research build, have some slight positive leverage to him in our pool. Rostering him almost at 2x the field, but I think that's okay as well. Some small positive leverage on Kopech and negative leverage on Sonny Gray. So these are like the guys that I remember talking about in our research build. I think this lineup set is great. I am a big fan here. I like it a lot. So I would roll with this. Very happy with what I am seeing here. But that is how I would incorporate, a research build into my process and use it to verify some of the things that I'm seeing in my actual build that I'm going to run for my contest. So glad to see that SaberSim and I are coming to the same conclusion on some of the teams that we want to roster here. Michael said, I like to watch the building process. Well, you came on the right day. And then, Michael, I also did a demo yesterday walking from start to finish for a full MLB process. So you got to see 2 research builds and the build that I basically built for my contest here as an example. Shane says, short of showdown slates, do you always keep the rule on for home run less than? Yes, I do. Sometimes I might forget to check it to turn it on. But in general, I like this rule as like a baseline here. I think that, as far as rules go, I think that this is a fine heuristic for baseball here, similar to like NBA where no more than 3 players per team is like a fine heuristic. There are exceptions with like when the Warriors sit their entire starting 5, then yes, I want to do something different. But I think in general for a pretty standard slate, I think that this rule is totally okay. All right. We are through with that MLB example here and follow-up. Going to hit this one from the shallow cross. Question says, in the 6-player non-captain sports, MMA, NASCAR, PGA, etc., how important is it to set groups, or is it important at all? So really good question here. The only time I will ever set a group is for golf. And if I do, it's specifically weather focused. So you can see that we have this tee time column in the app here. Let's say that it's like a split weather slate where, the AM PM wave has way better weather than the PM AM wave, and you want to favor one wave of golfers as opposed to the other here. What you can do is you could set a rule that says, we'll say stack at least 5. So we want to be really aggressive, right? We want to get at least 5 players from the good weather wave. And then you could say, you got to do a group rule. So it's rule type, group, selection method, automatic. And then we're going to say use at least 5 and then leave group by unchecked here. Very important. And then add a requirement and then say tee time is before. And then we could say 11 a.m. here. And this is how you would write it, right? So this is the only time that I'm basically creating a group for golf is when I am deliberately trying to take advantage of a weather split here. So I think that this rule, this is one group rule that I'm okay using. But aside from that, I'm not really using any rules here. In golf or MMA and NASCAR play a little different because the player pools are smaller here. But in NASCAR, we are taking these single track simulations, right? We are simulating one entire race and building you the optimal lineup from that race. And we are doing that, 500 times, 5,000 times, however many times you're doing that here. So I think that, groups are not super important. It's not something I would suggest outside of trying to take advantage of a very specific scenario where you can justify building that group for a specific purpose. So I'm not going to say that groups are bad. I just think that groups should be used very deliberately. But good question. All right. We are all caught up with questions at the moment here. While we wait for any final questions to come in, just want to let you guys know, if you guys are not playing over on Owner's Box, you guys should be taking advantage of our Owner's Box promotion. We partnered with Owner's Box at the beginning of the MLB season here. The contests on Owner's Box overlay very frequently. You can find contests where they're paying you to play, find no rate contest, find reduced rate contest. The competition over on Owner's Box is going to be softer than what you're going to find on DraftKings, FanDuel, or Yahoo. If you use promo code SABRE or SaberSim, you can get a $500 deposit bonus, and we will track your entry fees, and you can earn free months of SaberSim just by playing on the site. There is no limit to the amount of credit that you can earn. Each time you cash in on one of these prizes, we will reset your tracking to 0, and you will start to earn again right away here. So take advantage of the promotion. I highly recommend it here. I've played a lot on Owner's Box this MLB season and have had a good season to date here. So highly recommend it. But until tomorrow, if you guys are building lineups throughout the day, question pops in your head, drop it in the Office Hours channel. Let it sit there. It gets us a steady queue of questions to get started with for our next show. Good luck in all your guys' contests. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care. Thanks. Bye.